Hi guys. Well, the PS4 and the Xbox One have been out for around about 2 years now, and both have been selling extremely well, with the Xbox One doing better month on month than its predecessor, the 360, and the PS4 blitzing even the One's solid performance and managing to outsell it by a margin of around about 2-1, if the sales figures are to be believed, that is. And to be honest, I'd always treat those with a healthy dose of skepticism. Neither of the companies can be trusted really when it comes to sales, I don't think. So anyway, whatever the fanboys from either camp might tell you, neither of these consoles are going anywhere, and you can be confident in your purchase no matter which route you decide to follow, whether it be blue or green. But assuming you haven't got a bottomless pit of money and you can only afford one of these for Christmas, which one should you actually be going for? Well, that's much more of a difficult question than it might at first appear, because there's a great many factors to weigh up, ranging from the hardware itself through the peripherals, the interface, how well each console handles multimedia, and of course, games. Which, despite what Don Matrick may have thought, is the reason most people buy a games console. It's in the title, Don. You know, games console kind of gives it away. Anyway, I want to talk about all the previously mentioned aspects of the two leading consoles, but obviously that could be quite a long video, so I'm going to break it up into bite-sized chunks. In part so you guys can get to the bit you're interested in more quickly, but also because it helps me focus on one aspect at a time and to cover all the bases. But if there's anything I miss or fail to cover adequately, please don't hesitate to question me, or if you're a knowledgeable gamer and you catch me making a mistake, feel free to correct me. I want this channel to be an open forum, and I'm only too happy to receive constructive input. But anyway, enough of the preamble. As I said, I want to break this down into manageable chunks, so today I'd like to start by taking a look at the hardware. I don't want to say too much about the look of either console, as aesthetics are entirely down to personal taste. The Xbox One is obviously larger, and it's got a separate and quite large power brick. The PS4 is much smaller by comparison and has an integrated power supply which makes it more compact. To be honest though, I don't think either of them would win any beauty contests. Things do get interesting with some of the special editions like the Star Wars themed PS4 or the Halo themed Xbox, but unless you particularly want a themed console, I'd stick to the standard editions and stick them away in a unit where you can't see them, to be honest. But so much for the aesthetics. There are other factors to consider too, such as what hard drive should I go for? Well, the simple answer is the biggest. Both the PS4 and the Xbox offer 500GB and 1TB varieties, but whereas the Xbox offers a faster hybrid drive in their 1TB machine, Sony have merely gone for the higher capacity. It shouldn't make too much difference in real-world gaming, but it's worth noting, as is the fact that at least some of the 1TB PS4s are using an earlier revision of the hardware than the later 500GB models, which means the 1TB models may run a bit hotter and have a few other issues. Nothing major. And the last thing to consider here is the potential for future upgrades to capacity. The PS4 allows for swapping out of the hard drive so that it can be replaced with one of higher capacity. This won't void your warranty. The Xbox One hard drive, on the other hand, can't be removed, but you can use external hard drives for storing everything from games to multimedia. The PS4 does allow for external hard drives, but you can't use them for storing your games, which is a pain. Personally, I prefer Microsoft's approach, as when you get short of space, you can just plug another drive into USB at the back, and away you go. With the PS4, you have to remove the original drive and replace it, which wastes a drive and is a bit of a faff, to be honest. But if you prefer not to have the extra clutter, you may prefer Sony's approach. But what about the rest of the hardware? Everybody and their auntie knows that the PS4 is more powerful than the Xbox One, but how is it more powerful? And how does this affect real-world performance? Well, here's a graphic showing the difference between the two machines. And I'll put some links up in the description to sites which go into far more detail about the specs. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because, frankly, this is about which machine you should be going for and not a tech specs breakdown. Basically, it comes down to the fact that the PS4 has more horsepower for graphics, and that does show at times, with some games having a slightly higher resolution on the PS4 or slightly fewer graphical glitches. But if you get past all the fanboy squabbling about 1080p versus 900p or 30 frames per second versus 60 frames per second, there are two important points that stand out. The first one, compared to previous generations, both these consoles are a little underwhelming compared to the mid-range PCs that are out there. Now, before anyone bites my head off, I'm not going all PC master race here, but the truth is previous generations of consoles launched with more relative horsepower under the hood when compared to PCs of the day. The original Xbox, for instance, was a beast of a machine. The second point is basically that the first point has about as much relevance as a portrait of Jesus in a Hindu temple. It really doesn't matter how well the consoles stack up against the PC. What matters is how well they do the job they were designed to do, and how well they compare with each other, because very few people will go out to buy a games console and come home with a dedicated PC. Let's be honest, they're a lot more expensive. As I said, both these machines are a bit of a letdown in purely technical terms. Neither of them can play back H.265 encoded video, for instance, which means they can't handle 4K Netflix. But I'll get to that when we get to their multimedia capabilities. When it comes down to it, what we're interested in is the experience we have when we sit in front of our TV screens and pick up the game controller. And the truth is, in hardware terms, that experience is remarkably similar, whether it's the PS4 or an Xbox One under the TV. You might occasionally notice the odd extra blade of grass on the PS4 version, but in all honesty, when I've played the same game on both machines, I haven't noticed any difference at all, and that's the simple truth of it. So in conclusion, yeah, the PS4 is marginally more powerful, but you'll be extremely hard pressed to tell the difference once you're playing a game, so your choice of console shouldn't rest on whether the tech specs look better on the page. You should be much more interested in what games are available, how well the consoles handle multimedia, what the UI is like to use, and which console has the most reliable and user-friendly peripherals. And on that subject, please take a look at the other videos in this series where I cover each of these points in turn. As I say, I can't really cover it here because I'll be going on for far too long, so look at the links. Alright, that's about all I'm going to say on this one. You pays your money and you takes your choice basically. I can't tell you which console to buy, but hopefully this will give you some idea. And I will speak to you guys again soon. Bye.